Today I'm speaking to Hugh Howey, best-selling author of Wool and Shift, and apparently Hugh almost takes pride in breaking all the rules in publishing, so welcome Hugh.
Thank you so much for having me.
Can you tell me, you've started writing how long ago?
Well, I tried when I was like 12, but I didn't get to the end of the story, and I did that for years. About 4 years ago, I finally finished a novel. So I've been writing steadily, really at a blistering pace for 4 years now.
Okay, and you said that you expected to have a day job while you were writing, but that's not how things panned out.
Yeah, it did for a while, but then Wool, which was just a short story at the time, really took off, and it got to the point where it made more sense to be home writing, and I was making enough to pay my bills. So now I've been a full-time writer for over a year.
Wool has a really unusual story in terms of how it came about. Would you like to share that with us?
Sure. It started as a short story, which I thought was really unique, but I found out later one of my favorite books growing up, Ender's Game, started off as a short story called The Battle Room, and Fahrenheit 451 started off as a short story. So there's this history in science fiction of writing a short story, the readers love it, and then you give them more. And that's what happened with Wool. I was releasing, this is actually 5 individual stories that I released serially, and then when I was done, we collected them into a single novel.
And you started out self-publishing?
Yeah, it was 7 or 8 novels into self-publishing that I released this, and I just really enjoyed the direct access. My very first book was with a small publisher, and I enjoyed that, but when I got the contract for the second book, I thought, you know, there's all these tools available now to do this on my own. Why don't I give it a shot and see what happens? And it was, I think, the best decision I ever made. It's given me more creative freedom. I can write in any genre I want. I can release books as quickly as I want, and I can price them very low for readers. And all these things have actually helped me make more of a living than I would have made, I think, otherwise.
Would you like to tell us about Wool? Like, what is the story?
Sure. It's tricky to describe Wool because the spoilers start about 5 pages into the book, but the setting is the remnants of humanity live in this underground silo, and it is massive. It's very deep, and there's they've been there so long, so many hundreds of years, that they don't even remember humanity living elsewhere, and they only have this one view of the world, this of hills and this dilapidated city over the horizon. And you're not allowed to talk about going outside because it's dangerous to start dreaming that people should go outside. And the heart of the story is this character named Juliet, who's a mechanic from the very depths of the silo, becoming sheriff and coming to the up top and acting as sheriff and uncovering the mystery of the silo and how they got there and who's really in charge. And it's just this great thriller. It's a mystery, a thriller, and a science fiction story all in one.
It sounds like you've been influenced by some of my favourite stories. What have been your influences in writing?
I've really wide influence. I read a lot of nonfiction, so history and philosophy and psychology all work their way in here. I've read a lot of comics, and I think the way the serialized release came out, where it was like how each individual comic tells a story that has its own conclusion, but over several comics you have a bigger story to tell. So that influenced me. TV and movies, video games, everything, there's storytelling in all these different mediums, and I think I've absorbed them all over the years.
And your story is going to be told in different mediums?
Yeah, we're working on a comic book adaptation now. The film rights have been optioned by Ridley Scott. We don't know if that means a film will ever get made, but they're excited about it right now. So, and there's audio books out. There's the physical book and the ebook, and yeah, it's just it's such a great story. It's just fun to see how many different mediums we can put it out there in.
And you said that the original short story is available free for anyone who wants a taster and to basically get hooked. It's a gateway drug.
Yeah, well, it is, but it also, I don't want people to buy an entire book. You know, what I like about the music industry is you can now buy one track. You don't have to buy the whole album to get the track you like. And the way I see this first story being free is try it, and if you don't like it, I don't want you to spend your money on a book you're not going to enjoy. Go spend it on a book you will enjoy. If you do like it, you can read the second one, you can buy the whole book, you can get the audio book. It's up to you. And the more freedom and choice you give to readers, the more you end up rewarded in the long run.
And this is the sequel?
Yeah, I think they look so good together, don't they? I love this, the color theme. And the third one is Dust, which has like a cracked earth, so it's like fire and ice and soil. They look great together.
Wow. You were talking in the panel about you're really impressed with the London artist who did these books?
Jason Smith. He read the manuscript when it came into Random House, and he went to his art director and said, "Can I please do the covers for this? He loved the story that much." And he came up with all these great designs. I've shared some of them on my website, some of the past designs. But this one just, like when I walk into a bookstore now, I can see the book a mile away. It's such an iconic cover. There's just nothing else like it. And they all look great together.
They're really strong, and they stand out. So many covers these days, they just look like...
they look the same.
Stock
they blend
images,
in.
Photoshop.
Yeah, I'm so happy the way these came out.
And apparently this is a trilogy?
Yep, so the third book, Dust, will be out by the end of the year.
In the panel, you made a comment about the original Star Wars trilogy. The second movie was the best movie, but you were kind of aiming for a different outcome with your books?
I really want the third and final book to be the best, and I think the way it's all laid out, the fact that I'm in the middle of writing it now, and I'm basically, everything the reader has been dying to find out and see happen, it's all playing out just perfectly so far. So that's my dream, that people will finish that third book and say it only got better as I went along.
And you've said that you do things backwards, you do things wrong. Can you tell me some of the things that you're doing wrong for the publishing industry?
Yeah, well, I self-published. I kept my books very inexpensive. I give stuff away. I allow fan fiction, and I encourage people to charge money for their fan fiction, and I promote it. And we've seen some of the fan fiction in this series go into the top 10 of its category on Amazon, and that's exciting to me. And I released it serially. I don't know. I did whatever felt natural at the time, instead of saying what does the industry expect, and it's been rewarding so far.
Have you had any feedback from other authors about their opinions of what you're doing?
Yeah, well, I've had authors concerned about the copyright issues or the intellectual property right of allowing people to write fan fiction. I don't believe in digital rights management. I think if you own a book, you should be able to convert it and read it on whatever device you want, as many devices as you want. So I never put DRM on my books, and I've had authors who disagree with that. But I'm still a reader first. I was a reader for 30 years before I started writing. So I always think, what's the best decision for the reader, and I work from there.
In terms of playing into people's expectations, though, you're not like a Stargate writer where the central character is never going to die. You're a different kind of writer. Would you like to tell us about that?
Well, knowing what readers expect doesn't mean that, okay, this is what they want, I'm going to write the book they want, because readers need to be surprised. They need to not be able to anticipate the outcome of the story. So having feedback gives me their expectations, and then I can defy them. Or they'll tell me, nothing better happened to this character. You shouldn't tell me that. Don't tell me you don't want something to not happen to a character, because I'm going to make it happen, the opposite of what you want. And that tension, it's not to upset the reader, it's to defy their expectations and keep them on their toes and keep them excited about where the story might go next.
And once an author has killed off one main character, I think they only have to do it once. There's so much more investment in the reader, because there's that fear.
Yeah, if you feel like no one is safe, then when you put someone in a dangerous situation, you don't assume, well, they're going to get out of this. I don't know how they're going to get out of it, but they're going to survive. And in my story, you never know who's going to survive. And so it's not like a horror movie where it's like, okay, cute blonde, she's the one who's going to crawl away at the end. Everyone else is going to die. In this one, you just don't know.
And you're writing prequels.
Yep. Yeah, it's with post-apocalyptic stories, you never really find out what happened to the world. And with Shift, Shift ends up telling a story that ends up where Wool is. So it's not all prequel, but it starts off as a prequel, and you find out how the world became this way. And it was a fun challenge to take on as a writer, something I would have wanted as a reader, and I was able to do now that I'm in charge.
And do you have any plans for future books after the prequel?
Yeah, I've got the third and final book, and then I've got so many other stories outlined that I'm dying to write, and so I'll finish this and set it aside, and I'll go and write my other stories.
Are these set in these other stories? Are they in the same world, or are they in different worlds?
Yeah, different worlds. Some of them are different genres. You know, I write anything. I've got a horror novel, I've got a regular fiction story, I've got a young adult space saga, and as a reader, I've just loved all these genres, and now as a writer, I want to explore them.
Is there anything that is on your bucket list that's really like must do?
As a writer, or
As a writer or as a human being?
as a human being, I'll tell you, the thing I've dreamed of doing since I was a teenager is to sail around the world, and that's what I'm working toward. My wife and I have been working toward this for 11 years, and I don't know when we're going to get to leave, but that's what I'm going to do before my life is done. I'm going to get on a sailboat, and we're going to see the world together.
Wow. And do you think that'll be research for a novel?
I'll write while I'm sailing, for sure. You have a lot of downtime while you're sailing, big passages in between islands, so yeah.
Sounds like fun. Is there anything that you'd like to say to fans before we wrap up?
I'd like to say thank you. Everything that's happened has been because of your input. You're asking for me to write more. I get up every morning inspired to write because of the feedback and the incredible word of mouth that you've generated. So the fact that I get to do this is completely because of your support. So thank you so much. It's such an honor.
And thank you for talking to Dark Matter.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to meet you.
Good to meet you too.